Kevin, wake up. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome back. Kevin's sleeping in the chat. Good morning. Whatever. How's everybody doing? Checking in. God, I gotta adjust my camera. I had it moved around for Nier on Monday. Haven't taken the time to reframe just right, so hopefully this is alright. Once again, I apologize in advance for the squeaking of the chair. I still need to fix it. I'm way too sentimentally attached and way too cheap to replace this chair. So it's really a matter of trying to fix the damn thing. So I'll get around to it, I'm sure. Perhaps tomorrow. Anyway, welcome everyone. Good evening. Welcome back to Dragon Age Origins Awakening. There's too many colons in the in there to put it actually in the title of the video, so it's still just Dragon Age Origins, but we are on Awakening, the expansion, the major expansion that takes place after the main storyline, with our hero of Ferelden, Dalen Amell, who has become the Warden Commander of Ferelden, the Arl of Amaranthine, and with that, we're starting off today where we left off, going to this city of Amaranthine. Kevin asked how much is a chair. It depends on the chair. One like this, I don't even know if they make this chair in particular anymore. As much as I would absolutely love another of this chair in particular, I think I've told the story behind this chair before. This chair is the exact same model chair that I always sat in my AP classes in high school, because our AP teacher was a college professor who basically furnished his own classroom and did all this kind of cool stuff. Cool guy. But the chair in particular just kind of falls back to that. And then when I moved into an office at the University of South Florida, when I first moved into an office, this chair was in there, just happened to be there. And so when I moved out of that office, I decided that it would be a good opportunity to trade out this chair for my old, actually fairly nice leather office chair that I used to have in my office here at home, for this nostalgic chair of mine that cannot be younger than I am. It's very unlikely that this chair is younger than me. I am no longer a spring chicken. Edging close as disturbingly close to 30. Anyway, I'd love to find this chair in particular. I would absolutely do. I have no idea where I would go about doing so. In any case, if I'm looking for just a desk chair, cheapest kinds of thing of any quality I've found is in the $40 to $60 range. For something that I would actually be comfortable sitting in for long periods of time, it's anywhere from like $100 to $200, maybe even more. It's way more of an expense than I really would like to put in, even if I were wanting to update my chair. And I might have to be fair. This is unrepairable. Fortunately, there is a spring that is coming out the bottom of the thing. So that is a possibility, but I'm gonna give it a try. In any case, if I do wind up having to replace it, it's I'll be sad, but we'll see. We'll see what I have to do. Anyway, let's get into the game as I continue ruminating on such things. I also have a couple of news announcement type things that I want to share with you guys. Two of them are related to the channel, and one of them is related to food. I'll do the food one first, and then I'll actually do the channel update stuff, things that are forthcoming, after that, because at least one of them will lead into what I hope to be a good conversation about modern education and things like that. The first thing that I wanted to mention is I have recently discovered Szechuan peppercorns. Szechuan pepper is something that I have tried before in dishes. It's like I've had like at Chinese restaurants and stuff, I've had Szechuan style just about everything, and I very much like it. Only recently did I realize what exactly gives it its unique flavor, which are these little Szechuan peppercorns, which, worth noting, are not technically pepper or peppercorns. Looking into it, they're technically part of a flower, of a desert flower. And they have a very, very unique flavor and a few really weirdly unique qualities, like if in too much of a concentration, they completely numb your tongue to the touch, but you can still taste things perfectly sharply. It's fascinating. They're a fairly mild flavor. They're not really spicy, but they have a unique little kick to them. There's a little bit of spice, but it's more like a earthy kind of herbal spice, more like ginger kind of spicy than like pepper kind of spicy. Very good. And I ordered some. Recently been fooling around with it a bit. I made Szechuan oil, low simmered oil with peppercorns, like as a topping or as a seasoning or as a flavoring type thing. And then also recently I grilled some shrimp with a Szechuan teriyaki sauce, which very good. I like very much. Unfortunately, Erica isn't a huge fan of that flavor profile, so it's probably going to be sticking to me. And then also I made fresh, homemade beef jerky, as I often do. Likewise, marinated in a slightly different blend, but still Szechuan pepper and teriyaki sauce being the base. It's very good. It's got a nice little Szechuan zing to it that I'm liking very. Anyway, thought I'd share that with everybody for my newest discovery and adventure in food that I'm not used to.
You have time to talk about the Darkspawn in the Vigil?
Yeah, there's Darkspawn still about?
Let me explain. You know Dworkin? That mad dwarf's bombs shook the whole keep. Some of the deep cellars caved in. I suspect that there are pockets of Darkspawn below, trapped. In time, they may dig their way out.
I'm good at killing Darkspawn, but not at digging.
We have men who can unearth the rubble at your command. Whenever you're ready, I can take you to the basement.
Let's go then. Start off with this, and then we'll move on to the city of Amaranthine.
Straight away, sir.
Kevin says, just got done eating and now you've made me hungry again.
Here we are. The vigil.
What did you expect from this stream?
Real deep. The hallways down here have been crumbling for years and decades. And that blasted Dworkin's explosives didn't do the structure any favors.
Far down do the basements go?
No one knows. The vigil's always been here. Since the barbarians, they say. Who knows what's at the bottom?
Out them and clear the rubble.
You heard the commander. Put your backs into it. This is where you come in. Who knows what's up ahead? We'll be back here.
All right. Wish me luck. But yeah, Kevin, I don't know what you expected from this stream.
Stoic thing must get you a lot of action, huh?
I take it you're an admirer, Ogren.
What? No. No. Well, not unless... No!
Good. Then I needn't worry about getting too drunk at camp.
Okay, I like you, just not in that way.
Oh, gosh. Darkspawn corpse. One corpse. The like three-headed dragon, or perhaps like Hydra corpses, and this. Oh, that's creepy. That's disturbing. That's a disturbing. I hope that's the statue. Avar tribesman. Still very cool. Yeah, I do recommend giving Szechuan pepper a try. Got it. You have access to it. I found it on Amazon. If you're interested, maybe I'll put a link. Maybe I'll put a link to the one I got, which seems to be pretty good. In the Discord server. Mabari seems greatly distressed. Her fur is patchy and caked with dirt and blood. Inspect the dog. Find a small scroll bound to the dog. Kevin says, I expect nothing less, actually, Food Nation. I mean, yeah, this is basically... Yes, this is a philosophy channel. Yes, I do gaming, but more than anything, I am here to make you hungry. And for Sarah to be chanting in the background as she tries to poop her body. Good evening, everyone. Oh, gosh. Take the scroll. A woman named Adria writes that she has taken refuge in the lower levels of the keep.
Dryer. She was like a mother to me. We must save her.
All right. What about the dog?
Going.
Oh, it's auto-saving. This is a bad sign. Yeah, like I said, it's Szechuan pepper is a very, very unique flavor. It's very strange. It's not exactly what I would have expected, because I've had, like I said, I get like Szechuan pepper and such in Chinese restaurants, and in fact the little fast food Chinese place, the little Chinese takeout place by our house, has a very good Szechuan lo mein, which kind of inspired me to want to try some things like this on my own. And from that, because that has a pretty complex flavor profile, the Szechuan pepper itself is not exactly what I was expecting from the various Szechuan dishes that I have had. But now that I taste it and I smell it and I've cooked with it alone by itself, I can totally understand exactly what part of that pretty complex flavor profile the pepper plays. And it really is pretty unique. Hey, stop doing that. Kind of cool. Missy asks if I'm going to play Inquisition after this. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, after 2. I'm going to play 2. So 2 is next. Then eventually, once we're done with that, and once we're done with... So when we're done with this, Awakening, then we're going to move on to Witch Hunt, which is the last DLC quest for... the last that we're playing for Origins. Then we're going to move on to Dragon Age 2. And I'm probably going to have a poll up whether you want me to play... I've already set and decided that I'm going to be playing Hawk as a male mage. But the only thing is whether you want me to play him more blue, purple, or red. And if you understand what that means, then great. If not, I can explain. But it's about the sort of general flavor of dialogue options. Hey, Missy is making a face, apparently, about Dragon Age 2. I really, really like Dragon Age 2. It had way more potential than it actually got. I'm just deeply disappointed in its like really short development cycle, because it was done in like a year or something. And it really shows, obviously. Like, there's a lot of things about Dragon Age 2 that are cheap. Like the dungeon design, like the sort of copy-paste dungeon design, things like that. Fine, I get it. Okay, fair enough. And there's things about 2 that I don't like what they did to Anders, character-wise, what they did with Anders. And then also, like, the kind of dismal selection of romance options. let me put it this way. Probably the best option for a straight female Hawke is a Josephite marriage. And for my male Hawke, I'm almost definitely going to be romancing Meryl because she's adorable. Missy says, I mean, we're all entitled to having wrong opinions. I still love you. Hey, listen. I still like it. In the same way that I still like Mass Effect Andromeda. I acknowledge that it had tons of problems. But I still really like it. And I really like the style. Really like the style. I think, honestly, the graphics of 2 aged better than Inquisition. Inquisition's not nearly as old. It's 6 years old now? 6 or 7. Dragon Age 2 is like 10? Is it 10 by now? It's close. It was 2011 or 12. Something like that. But because of the stylistic choices they made in 2, I honestly think that the graphics hold up better than Inquisition. Inquisition tried very hard for realism. Misty says, I was just butt mad that Hawke has to be human. Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that. I will give you that. They really, really narrowed down your character creation options for Hawke because they have kind of a set character, I guess, more than in either of the other games. How dare you, Missy? I don't like Nickelback. No one likes Nickelback. I don't even think Nickelback likes Nickelback. What's wrong? But no, there are, I think, really a lot of things to like about Dragon Age 2. I see it as a kind of intermediate, like an interim story. And I also kind of think that Awakening fills the role of Dragon Age 2 better than Dragon Age 2 does. Awakening, which we're doing there now. But, all that in mind, like I said, I still like it. I still like the characters. I still like the story. I still like the style. I actually really like the mechanics. The whole Force Mage thing is just awesome. Can't get enough of that specialization. Rogues were actually fun to play. Like, they're the only game in the series where rogues are actually fun to play. Anyway, I like it. I like it. It's objectively the worst. I will say this. It is objectively the worst of the 3. But I do like it. I have a soft spot for it. Anyway. A small plaque reads, Andraste was bathed in fire before the Maker. That I know what I have to do. The statue's not going to like it. On a related note, there is a... I think the funny thing too about like the character options and stuff for Dragon Age 2, the fact that the best romance has nothing to do with the main character, or at least doesn't involve the main character, really is kind of telling about the didn't work. Oh, you touched the okay. Wow, what I had to do there was way simpler than I thought. Tingler. Institution, health regen in combat, healing effects received. To Agron. Okay. Cool. Oh good, Missy forgives me for liking a bad game. Listen, people are allowed to like bad things while still acknowledging that they're bad. That's totally a thing that people can do. Like, for example, my favorite example of this, the Star Wars sequel trilogy. It's not good. This should be obvious. And of them, objectively speaking, The Last Jedi is definitely the worst. Or not The Last Jedi. Actually, no. That's not true. The Rise of Skywalker is the worst. Like, from an objective standpoint, it's pretty undeniable, honestly. That The Rise of Skywalker is the worst of the sequels. But I, despite myself, kind of enjoyed it.
I think I can help with that.
I enjoyed The Rise of Skywalker more than I enjoyed The Last Jedi. While still accepting that, of course, objectively it's worse. The plot is utter nonsense. It has ridiculous numbers of plot holes, contrivances, various absurdities,
Oh, thank the Maker. Please
all kinds of
let
things
us
like
out.
that. You're free, run.
Quick, before more of those things come.
Go. Go. It's in here. Crypt. Interesting. But like I said, I actually enjoyed
I think I can help with that.
The Rise of Skywalker more than I enjoyed The Last Jedi. Not because it's better.
Forbade us from playing in the cellars. Now I know why.
Not because it's better, because it's not better. But for a couple of reasons. One, it was a fun, it was a fun romp. It was a ride. It was insane. It made no sense, but it was the kind of insane, and it was the kind of insane nonsense that was just fun. It was fun. It was bright, shiny colors. There's a lot of spectacle. Creamy Sheev got to be his absolute nonsensically craziest. Chef's kiss as far as that goes. However, like I said, it was also bad. And I also happened to really, really like the fact that J.J. Abrams in The Rise of Skywalker, the entire movie, or at least most little aspects of the movie, were a giant middle finger to Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi. He retconned so many things in so many ridiculous and absurd ways that were very clearly directly a slight against Abrams, or sorry, against Johnson. Messi says, I like how they leave spikes inside the... Oh, God, what happened? I didn't do that, did I? Oh, boy, I think I did. Let's go Fireball. Nathaniel, you did this. That's it. Okay, cool. That was... I intentionally didn't walk down there so I wouldn't trigger whatever kind of horrifying undead we were going to have to face, but thanks, Nathaniel. Didn't your mother tell you not to play in the crypt? I thought she specifically told you not to play in the crypt. You just said that. Oh my gosh. Kevin says, Rise of Skywalker was the worst because Papa P almost won and deserved. Oh my god. Stop simping for the Empire. Stop it. God. We've gone over this. Politically speaking, the least bad faction of the let's say Big Six. For going by like the two enemy factions in each era. Probably the closest you have to good guys were the or the Confederacy of Independent Systems. The bad guys in the Clone Wars, the droid army. Where's that key? Let's give Nathaniel his bow.
Is this what I think it is? It is. That's the Howe crest burned into the wood right there. This is my grandfather's bow. Or rather, my grandfather was the last to use it. It was originally made for an ancestor during the Exalted Marches.
Cool. I mean, Exalted March is being basically the crusade. A crusade. There's been a lot. But yeah, no, I like I said, I enjoyed Rise of Skywalker a lot more than it deserves. Like, objectively, it's like a 2 out of 10. It was a bad film in almost every way. But subjectively, I really, really enjoyed it. I had a great time. Like, my enjoyment, I'd probably put somewhere, like, forgive me, like 6 or 7 out of 10. I had a fun time when I watched it. The Last Jedi, 3 and 3. Like, it was bad, and I didn't like it. Especially on rewatches. Mashed Potato asks, is this DLC? Yes. Yes, it is. Oh, Missy says, The Slaughter of the Elves. That was one of the Exalted Marches, yes. That was one of them. There's been a few. Kevin says, it's between the Space Commies and the Empire in the sequels. I'm going with the Empire. It's not even the Empire. It's the Sith. It's the... There is no way to describe the First Order as anything but flanderized fascism. It is an almost caricaturized fascism that's done competently, honestly. I had an article out. I need to republish it because it was good. I thought it was good. I wrote an article about this when The Force Awakens first came out. It was about how the New Republic dismissal and sanction of the Imperial Remnant basically led to the rise of the First Order. It's not up to date with the latest lore because the latest lore basically retconned basically everything that we knew, and it's a little bit absurd, but you know, with the whole Palpatine behind the scenes thing. But regardless, it's very clearly a mirror of the rise of the Third Reich after the Treaty of Versailles. The whole collapse of the Empire, the corruption of the New Republic, and the rise of the First Order. But there's all kinds of fascist iconography and rhetoric. Things like the cleansing of the impurity and chaos of the New Republic. All that is prototypically fascist language. Hey, fair enough. Yeah, it's like it's the war between the Resistance and the First Order, you're right, is more or less like the Eastern Front of World War II. It's bad guys fighting bad guys. Really. The Resistance are not, like, politically anything to get behind. I am interested in seeing where this goes, because I really do think that, like, where Star Wars goes going forward, if it goes forward at all, really, it kind of needs to, honestly, to sort of wrap things up a bit. Because, as everyone notices from the end of the Rise of Skywalker. The galaxy is in utter chaos. But I think it's honestly relatively feasible. There are people in those corners of the Star Wars fandom talking about how they're going to retcon the sequels. Okay, all right, fair enough. They've established the World Between Worlds stuff, the Ahsoka Lives theory, all that. All right, fine, plausible, maybe. Out of universe production reasons is probably honestly is very unlikely. Strikes me as very unlikely to happen. But hey, if it happens, cool. I'd be alright with it. However, if not, they can kind of just move forward and ignore the sequel trilogy. Honestly, the entire sequel trilogy takes place in about a year. It was one weird few months that disrupted the already failing New Republic. And which, admittedly, recall from the lore that's already been established, the New Republic, was decidedly anti-fragile. It had a rotating capital. The reason that they weren't able to stand up to the First Order is because of initial disorganization, and the First Order pounced. That's it. And then afterwards, looking at the big fleet that assembles and all that, yeah, it's fairly easy enough to either reorganize or reform or change the New Republic. If they want to follow some of the paths that were in Legends, they can go the whole Galactic Alliance or Galactic Federation Free Alliances route, that whole thing. All right, cool. I could see it going in a lot of interesting directions. With competent writing, it could be done. With incompetent writing, well, we'll find out. In any case, all this I recognize stemmed from me saying that I liked Dragon Age 2. Maybe also this is a lot of this is on my mind too, because I've been playing a lot of Battlefront 2, the 2017 one, which includes sequel era stuff. And it also includes a lot of Fall of the Empire era stuff that gets maybe not retconned, but ignored, certainly ignored by more recent stuff like Rise of Skywalker and others. Yeah, the First Order is also a puppet regime for Palpatine's, what's the name? Sith Eternal, right? And it also brings up some interesting questions about the Rule of Two and the essence transfer stuff, and brings up questions about Darth Bane and whether Palpatine is actually Darth Bane. Interesting little pet theory I've seen floating around, that Palpatine wasn't Palpatine. Palpatine, when he says, "I am all the Sith," what he means is that Darth Bane, when he was killed by his apprentice, Zana, that he transferred his essence to Zana. And then the Rule of Two is so that there will be an unbroken line of succession from Sith to Sith to Sith to Sith, so that they can each build on the previous in an essence transfer sort of way, and so that Palpatine is Bane, and that the transfer has gone through all the way since for the last 1,000 years, since the Rusan Reformation, the Rule of Two, etc. I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. Maybe. Like I said, there's so much absurdity in the plot contrivances in the Rise of Skywalker that it could be going in that direction. He says, "What a pleasant name for a genocide. Exalted Marches?" Yes. Well, I mean, genocide's got to have a goal. Some of the Exalted Marches were justified, like the ones against Tevinter. The one against the Kunari, totally justified. Any war against the Kunari is pretty much justified. I hate those guys. Why wasn't the bow used afterwards?
Well, my father hid it away, I guess. I'm surprised he didn't simply have it destroyed. I remember finding it before Father sent me to the Free Marches. A shame for it to sit in storage. Thank you. It's good to have a part of my family's legacy again. Something to be proud of.
Cool. Now, where's that key? Key of Kivale. This one. Gotta be that one. Oh. It's one of those quests. I don't know if I ever did this.
And I'm off.
Last time I played through Awaken. Because this is one of those quests where you have to keep coming back here when you get more of these keys and eventually unlock something. It's also, if I recall, one of those quests where by the time you get the reward for it, it's entirely pointless because it's end game and you don't need the thing. Basically, your equipment set is already better. Clarity. Can't do that yet. Like that one. Increase elemental damage. Heck yeah. I do elemental damage all the time.
No.
Oh.
No, Adria. We have to help her. There must be some way. Adria.
Oh, that's not great. That's awful. Wait, is he using his broken bow? Ow, bow. Yeah. It's broken. Remember? Whoa! Okay. Spell power time.
Huh.
Let's see. Doesn't use fire damage at all. Does use cold damage. All right. Cool.
All right.
I had another gift for Hal. Think. Yeah. Delilah Howe's letters.
Oh, I've always wanted one of these.
One of these. Okay, that's weird.
You murdered a slew of Darkspawn there. Well, you hear the stories about you and the Wardens. But to see it firsthand...
That's what we do.
Well, I'm impressed. Anyway, it looks like the explosives caved this section in. I brought along Master Voldrick.
So, this is how you humans ply your stonecraft. Disgraceful, that is. What, this would barely last a few centuries. I wager these passages may go far enough to connect to the deep roads.
Would this cave-in stop them if they were to return?
This? Hardly. Give me a few dwarves and we could have her cleared in a week. This is a grave matter. If we don't shut these tunnels, the Darkspawn can attack from below again.
Andraste's blood. There are basement entrances throughout the keep. There's no way to defend against that.
Then we follow the tunnels and hope to find a single point to block off. Never you fear, lass. With the Warden's muscle and my stonecraft, we'll find a way.
Okay, well let me know as soon as you clear the passage.
We'll need some time, but as soon as we clear it, we'll let you know.
Alright, back to the keep.
Of course.
Okay. So, we found some ore. Give it to,
You're back.
our smith over
You
here.
need anything?
Found an ore deposit.
This will help a great deal. Viridium.
Armor and weapons could be made with this.
Commander, if you like, we could outfit your men. It wouldn't cost you anything, but some soldiers would have to guard the miners.
You'll have your guards. My men need better gear.
So I'm to make armor for all Amaranthine's rabble? Helen, you abuse me so. It's unconscionable.
Commander's orders.
Fine, fine, I'll work. But I want a challenge one day. Something to sink my teeth into.
Alright, cool. Good. Okay, anything else to do here? I don't think. I think so. Let's sell a bunch of stuff.
You're back. You need anything?
See your shop.
Of course.
Sell that. Oh yeah, we can sell some of these. Okay, cool. I guess we'll go to Amaranthine. So when we're on our way there, yes, let's venture forth. Yeah, City of Amaranthine. So while we're on our way there, we're probably going to run into trouble. Maybe, maybe not. There were a couple of other things I wanted to announce that were actually channel related. I know I spent this whole time talking about what we're doing next on the stream, talking about Szechuan pepper, which if you weren't here yet when I mentioned it, I've recently discovered Szechuan pepper as a seasoning, as a spice, as a kind of thing. Made beef jerky with it. Highly recommend. Check it out. It's really weird. It numbs your tongue slightly. Like I said, it's very bizarre, but I really like it. So yeah, the other things, the things that are actually channel related, not so much about what I happen to be eating or about Star Wars, because I got distracted. Planning a couple of things coming up. First of all, a more minor one.
It's the Warden Commander. The rumors about you did not overstate it.
Oh, that's nice of you.
I have a business proposal. Look for me by the house near the gates. I promise it will be worthwhile.
Okay, see ya.
When the city runs out of supplies, we are all doomed.
But yeah, I'm thinking about oh, that's got to be for Anders, for Sir Pouncelot. So I'm thinking very hard about doing an audiobook reading. of an essay from C.S. Lewis called Our English Syllabus. It's about the teaching of English, but of the subject of English literature. But more generally, it is about higher education in general. And it's a fascinating essay that I hadn't read before today. And I don't know of any audiobook version of it.
Over that gate. I suppose my father is lucky his didn't end up there.
That's true. You're right. He is lucky. But yeah, I want to record an audiobook version of it because I think it's phenomenal. It's so topical and prescient to today, because it's primarily about the distinction between what we would refer to as a humanities education or a liberal arts education and technical training, and why we neglect a liberal education at our peril, socially speaking. It is basically a warning against the phenomenon we see today of sort of STEM worship, of higher education as a kind of career advancement type thing. Before it became a real trend. I actually should have looked up when this was written. To know. If I had to guess, probably in the 1960s, but not sure. But it was written to Oxford undergraduates. And so I think it makes a great sort of primer on what we ought to expect and what we ought to seek in our higher education. So it's something that I'd like to give to and show to some of my students. And despite myself, despite teaching for the USF Judiganschaft Honors College, it gives voice to some of my fears about the way that an interdisciplinary education can go wrong. Because of a sort of lack of focus, rather than going into enough depth on any one discipline. Anyway, like I said, I plan on recording a reading of it, just an audiobook version. Recording hopefully soon. That should be up in the next couple of days. So certainly look forward to that. And once we do, once it's up, I'd like to have sort of a discussion about it. Maybe even like a live discussion on the Discord or something like that. That I think would be maybe worth. Let me talk to this guy before I get into this thing.
What are you staring at? Looking to start something?
Are you the hunter who found an entrance to the deep roads?
Oh, here to investigate the chasm, are you? It's about time. I can't take all the credit for finding the rift, you know. Mika here fell in first.
Hey, we said the same thing. Tell me what happened.
Well, it's quite a ways out of town. We were tracking a buck off in that direction, you see, before this darkspawn mess. We'd been on his tail for about a week at that point. I'd wager he thought it was great fun leading us on a merry chase as he did.
And the chasm?
Oh, the chasm, yes. We saw it coming over our rise. It was really something to behold. A huge cleft, as though the Maker himself had cracked the earth in two, like an egg.
I like eggs.
It looked like someone had tried to build over it, but it must have been abandoned a long time ago. No one in town knew about it.
Who tried to build over it?
People, I suppose. Maybe even the Darkspawn. Well, of course, we had to investigate. That was when Mika fell in. A shriek like you wouldn't believe, and he was gone.
Earth crumbled, not stable.
Right. And as Mika lay there yelling about his knee or his head or what have you, the Darkspawn appeared.
Looks like you survived.
We got lucky. They seemed occupied, like they had someplace really important they had to be. Didn't notice us at all, thank the Maker.
The Darkspawn was so occupied as to overlook two screaming injured men. Boggles the mind.
I marked the chasm on my map so we could avoid it, but sounds like you want to know where it is, so here you go. So, we getting anything for our trouble?
Thank you. Here's some silvers.
Thanks. This'll get me good and drunk at the inn. Take my mind off the trouble out there.
Right, Ogren levels up. Let's give him some institution, a little dexterity. Or cry. Alright, cool. Got a
My
shady
brother used to
character.
drink like you do, dwarf.
Fun fellow to have around then, your brother.
He could find his fun almost anywhere. And then he would vomit on your shoes.
Ah, good times.
Gosh. Let's give Anders that collar. Cat.
Ooh, for me? Ooh. Hello, Sir Pouncer Large. Still intact, I see.
Good cat. Alright.
Ah, Warden Commander. I knew you'd come. You know an opportunity when it presents itself, no? I offer a partnership that would benefit us both.
Alright, talk.
The bartender at a local inn has overstepped his bounds. He was hired to watch one of the entrances to our den, but now seeks to extort more coin. Terrible, isn't it? A person of your influence would have no trouble convincing him to open the passage.
I'm the commander of the Grey, not a servant.
Ah, I see. May I ask that you say nothing of our meeting? Good day, Warden Commander.
You know I'm literally the lord of this land, right? Let's we'll come back to that Smuggler's Cove and see what's to see there. Missy says kitty. I agree.
My pardon, sir. I was paid a whole sovereign to give this letter to you.
Ow.
I told him I did. There are easier ways of getting a message to the Commander of the Grey.
Who gave this to you?
Some visiting knight didn't catch his face. Full helmet, you know. He said he was Sir Wolf of Ravain.
Wait, Wolf is in the Dark Wolf?
Ah, the Dark Wolf's nothing but a rumour. Mind you, he was acting suspicious.
You remember anything else about Sir Wolf?
No, sir. Again, my pardon.
Right. Let's see. Yeah. Well, meet me at the fountain. That's all we need to know. Mashed Potato says chickens. I agree with that as well. There are chickens. And even a cow. Or an ox. I guess that's an ox. No, that's a cow. Yeah, it's a cow.
Excuse me, but I need to search your packs for smuggled goods.
I'm the Warden Commander of Vigil's Keep.
But I have to. Constable's orders. We've been having trouble with smugglers and...
What are you doing, man? Are you accusing the Commander of the Grey of smuggling?
But you said everyone...
You are dismissed.
Chickums. Chicken.
I apologize. Smugglers and thieves have all but taken over the city.
This is how the chat's gonna go tonight. Good to see. Well, glad to see you're taking precautions.
Yes, Warden Commander. The smugglers have us scrambling, to be honest. We could certainly use your help in this. Come speak to me later if you're interested.
Shh. I really like that as a salute, the arms crossed thing. I kind of like it. I don't know. It's a pretty common sort of fantasy salute thing. I don't know if it has any real world historical precedence, but I actually really do like it. I don't know why it strikes me the right. I'm cool about it.
Ah, Warden Commander. I take it you've decided to help us.
What exactly is happening here?
With trade slowed to a crawl, smugglers have moved in, selling stolen goods at exorbitant prices. If we could shut down their operation and seize their supplies, we could distribute it to the needy.
Mashed Potato says, just like the chicken chat, Bach. Are you talking about the mod chat for the one group that we're thinking? Is that the kind of thing? Oh wait, don't you? Feel free to explain what I think is going on here, because if I'm not mistaken, I thought there was a not mod chat, but it's the same people as the mod chat. That's just a separate group chat where everyone acts like a chicken, or it just keeps saying chicken, something. I've heard stories, so you look at chicken. Missy says, I mean, the dude deserves a promotion. He was just doing his job. Yeah, he was very diligent about it too, gotta say. I mean, they are patrolling for stolen goods, people, taking advantage and looting people who are fleeing Darkspawn. Come on, man. Missy confirms that is in fact the case, that there is a chicken chat parallel to a mod chat in a I say Facebook group, but in a general broad social media group. A lot of the people in this chat are chat now. I'll deal with the problem.
There is a smuggler doing business.
Thanks to
in the
Landon,
market.
of course.
He probably knows where the hideout is. We haven't been able to get anything from him, but maybe you can.
Nash Vader says there's a group chat that's just about chickens. Okay. Yeah, I thought so. The mods are in there, but lots of other people too. So when you say about chickens, do you mean it's actually about chickens? Like, you guys talk about chickens and like raising chickens and actual chickens? Or do you mean everyone posts chicken emojis and goes bok bok? Because those are different things. I kind of like the latter better. I know a lot of people who raise chickens. My father-in-law raises chickens. They're nice. They're pleasant little hens. But like, I think of myself as a fairly rural guy nowadays, just because I've moved away from that city, but I still live in a little suburban house with a little yard, and I'm not a I don't know, chickens never really appealed to me. They're food. Give it to someone else to grow them. Oh, wonderful. Missy has invited me to the chicken chat. Thank you.
So, you think there's an apothecary around here somewhere?
Look at that. Chicken chat. Thanks. Probably. Why?
Well, yeah, I don't want to bother you with this. You being my boss and all.
Ashtay says some people raise chickens and talk about it. Okay, cool. I also have a cousin who raises chickens. She's since basically cut off all communication, blocked me on social media, but then acts like she didn't when we were in family get-togethers and things. And she raises chickens, but she's also a hippie of the annoying variety, let's say. But there's a lot more chicken posting in there. Okay, gotcha. I want to know that everyone's safe and happy.
Right. Look, for the past few days, I've had this burning rash. The skin's actually got a sort of greenish look to it.
Do I want to ask? Fine. What did you touch this time?
I didn't touch anything. You know, I bet it's that Grey Warden stuff we had to drink.
You think that if it makes you feel better.
Yeah, I'll just see if I can't find some nice minty balm somewhere in this town.
Hey, I was being very helpful, Ogren. I don't know what you're complaining about. I really don't. I don't know why I lost approval for questioning why you touch things. Get rashes. Green rashes. I win.
Well, if it isn't the Warden Commander, how have you been? I suppose congratulations are in order.
Yeah, good to see you, Win.
And you. I hear the Darkspawn are not retreating as they should. It sounds like the Wardens have their hands full. I'd offer to help, but I'm afraid my presence is required elsewhere.
Oh, perhaps when you're done with your business?
And by then you will no doubt have had this mess sorted out. But we shall see. The College of the Magi is convening in Cumberland, and I must attend. Hopefully, all this will blow over before it's begun. But you have enough on your mind as it is. I shan't trouble you with this further.
Magi business concerns me too.
Very well. Then perhaps you should know that something stirs within the fraternities. The Libertarians wish to pull away entirely from the Chantry. And if they get enough support...
Pull away entirely? That's madness. I hate Chantry oversight as much as the next mage, but they can't just decide to leave. This is a recipe for disaster.
You of all people? Anders, I thought you would be 100% okay with this. Especially... Well, you know, I don't know how much I can say without spoiling Dragon Age 2. But keep this conversation in mind and his support for the mages remaining under the Chantry, to some degree at least. Keep this in mind when we get to Dragon Age 2. Because this is yet another part of how radically his character changes between 1 and 2. Now, not for no reason. It makes narrative sense. It really does. But also, by the time Dragon Age 2 comes around, he's a very different person, and he's a very different person that I don't really care for. In part because he's kind of a... We'll talk more about this when we get to it. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but it strikes me as a pretty ham-fisted allegory for sort of the like oppressed minority type thing, similar to what you get in some of the less well-written, less well-rounded X-Men material, that type of thing. But I digress. Well, I'm sure it'll all be fine.
Yes, of course. Now, I have a great many preparations to make before I leave for Navarra. But perhaps there is something you can do for me. One of my colleagues, Ines, has spent the last few months in the Wending Wood. The Circle has been unable to reach her, given the trouble in the area. If you happen to find yourself in the wood on your travels, perhaps you could tell her about the meeting of the college.
What's she doing in the Wending Wood?
Oh, who knows, rooting around in the dirt for some obscure plant or other, most likely. She has a keen interest in gardening. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant botany. Hobbies and eccentricities aside, Ines is a well-respected mage and a voice of reason, something we could use on our side. But I can't waste any more time. Good luck to you, Warden Commander.
Win. Like, I kind of hope she comes back at some point, but I kind of, at the same time, I almost don't. Because I feel like, first of all, she would have been good to have around in Inquisition. Because she's a very level-headed mage. But at the same time, it almost seems like her story does kind of wrap up here. That this is just kind of a hanging, just sort of thing that she's off doing. In addition to the whole she's dead, being kept alive by a spirit thing. Missy says, I've had this game forever, and this is the furthest I've ever played this DLC. It's actually really, really good. Like I said, this DLC, Awakening, honestly, I think makes a better Dragon Age 2 than Dragon Age 2. And the only thing I'm disappointed in is that the big bad and the, well, semi-bad, the weird resolution having to do with the Darkspawn doesn't really come up more. Again, I'll talk about this more when we get there. But there was a really fascinating aspect to all this, what with the whole talking Darkspawn thing, that didn't really get explored very much in the subsequent games that I really think should have been. And I'm wondering if maybe, or at least hoping maybe, will come up again into Dragon Age 4. And there's some speculation about this too, having with 4, some of the iconography probably having to do with the old gods and Tevinter and all that, might actually tie in with this. So I'm hoping so. That would be really, really cool. Like some of the iconography from the murals that they've put out for Dragon Age 4. There's lots of speculation about it. I'll put a link in the description to something about talking about the murals. And sort of what they mean, what that might indicate for what's coming, and that kind of thing. But I'm kind of hoping that this has something to do with that this kind of gets the main plot of Awakening kind of gets brought back in. Kevin says, I really like the voice acting in this. Yeah, it's really, really good. It's really good. Dragon Age as a series has great voice acting. There are only like a few examples I can think of voice acting that's like even below average. Most of it's just phenomenal. One of the most impressive jobs voice acting in the whole series, for me at least, is Cassandra in 2 and 3, or 2 in Inquisition, whatever. She has a Navaran accent. And what I mean by that is she doesn't have, like, okay, a lot of Orlesian characters have an Orlesian accent, which is somewhere equidistant between French and French Canadian. I say between French and French Canadian because a lot of the voice actors are Quebecois or Quebecois, whatever. And so they have French Canadian accents. And apparently I've heard from French people that it's distracting how Canadian their accents are, but whatever, I digress. Or like the Anderfels, where the Wardens are from, is just German. The accent's just German. Ravane is basically just Spanish or Italian. But Navarra, Cassandra's the only character we have directly from Navarra. She's in 2 and Inquisition. Her accent is not anything in particular, but it is so distinct. It's incredibly distinct, to the point where it's that the voice actress who did Cassandra's voice came up with this accent from whole cloth. And again, I've heard, this is mostly rumor and stuff, that she has been working with other voice actors for 4 to try and get that accent to carry through. And that's just so cool to me, because I love looking at linguistics and vocal inflections and things like that. And how it varies from language to language and people to people group, region, that kind of thing. And that's just so cool. That's really, really neat. But yeah, I really can't think of a bad job in any of the voice acting. Really, nothing springs to mind. All right, so need to find wood from the ancient Sylvans. Sure. Thugs. Yeah, let's take care of those. Dealing with mages. All right, well, let's see. We'll see if we can do something about it or not. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Need 5 injury kits. Okay, cool. Do that. Yeah. Yeah, I really, the voice acting in the whole Dragon Age series is top notch. I mean, really,
anywhere safe? Anywhere at all?
BioWare usually does a great job with the voice acting. Probably belongs to one of our party, I guess. I have to look up a gift guide at some point. But yeah, it's like I said, BioWare usually does a great job for voice acting, voice direction, and all that. But Dragon Age in particular, the series does a great. Before we talk to her, I'm gonna have to run for just a moment. I will be right back. I need to quickly use the restroom, so I will join you in one. And we're back. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Right.
May I help you?
Read your post on the Chanter's board.
I am fortunate indeed that the Commander of the Grey has taken a personal interest in this matter. I'm sorry our note was vague, but Amaranthine is a hotbed of Maleficar activity. Details of who and what they were about would undoubtedly get back to them.
Maleficarum here.
Apostates and Maleficarum are all too common across the nation, alas. I have worked with an artist to create these sketches of the three suspects. If you could confront them and question them, you would be doing the Maker's work.
All right. I can at least question them, certainly.
The sins of man brought the blight to us. And now this, the sins of you. We must follow the example of Andraste and reflect upon the chant of light. Your friends and neighbors would do well to heed this lesson and join us in prayer.
Yeah, I'm gonna not just loot everything in the chantry. It seems a little irreverent. We'll look through bookshelves, see if there's books to read. Yeah.
It's not like Karam to be gone this long. I was sure I would find him at the inn.
All right.
Right. Got you.
It figures, actually.
What does?
There used to be another statue here. It was a Byron Howe, my great uncle. He died in the rebellion, helping King Merrick reclaim his throne. Yet his statue is gone. All because of what my father did.
It's a shame.
It truly is. There's a long line of heroes in my family. The Howes have been around since Callan had. Now it's all gone. And for what? For being on the wrong side of the war? For choosing poorly?
It's up to you to turn it around. I mean, this is true too, but he can still turn things around.
Not too much pressure, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what happened to the old statue. Likely propping up the side of a chantry or something. Poor Al Byron. Yeah, statues of her pigeons. I don't want to look at it.
Right. Missy says loot it. They put it there for a reason. Fine. Loot the chantry. A locked chest.
All right.
I think I can help with that.
Just a trade manifest. Well, that's fine, I suppose. That's fine, I suppose. Alright. I don't actually want or need that, so I will just leave it there. Gibbon says, when I play Kingdom Come Deliverance, I leave the communion chalice alone, unless they're on bandits. It just doesn't feel Catholic to treat sacred challenges like loot. That's true. I like that. Yeah, I definitely agree. And like I said, I am probably planning on playing Kingdom Come Deliverance on stream at some point. It'll be a little while down the line. It'll be after, probably after Nier, which I expect to be finished with before the Dragon Age series. But then the question there becomes what to play next, and I'll probably put up a poll to see what people want to see. Excuse me. My list would be my current list of things to come up next, or eventually next. The Knights of the Old Republic series, which I'd really like to do. I'm playing through KOTOR 2 right now off stream. Having a great time with it. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Greedfall, which Erica is playing through right now, and I've been hearing good things about it. There was one other. I'm trying to think of what it was. At some point, Mass Effect Andromeda, but that's probably a ways down the line. So those are the big three. So the KOTOR series, KOTOR 1 and 2, especially 2, but might do 1 as well. Kingdom Come Deliverance and Greedfall. In no particular order. It'll really just kind of come down to what people want to see. I can do any of them. Yeah. Missy says you may get a cool relic. Mashed Potato says just watch it all be cursed. So he correctly says that that was anticlimactic. Very true.
Yeah, women are drawn to you when you play with...
That's a strange place to store a pitchfork.
What?
Oi, about time you showed up.
Nemea, you're still here.
I keep my promises. Here, turns out you were right. The cache is here in Amaranthine.
It is? You found it?
I did. What you do with that information is up to you. I, for one, am done dealing with mages.
I guess I should thank you.
Damned right you should. You get caught, Anders, I'm not helping you again. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting. Care to share?
I suppose that requires some explanation.
Friend of yours, I take it?
She's normally more welcoming than that. A lot more. Nemea is a friend. Last time I escaped from the tower, I asked her to look into some things. That's why I was in Amaranthine. The Templars thought I'd come to take a ship, but it was to meet her.
What did she learn?
During the Blight, the Templars moved their store of phylacteries to Amaranthine for safety. My phylactery is among them, Nemea learned. So long as the Templars have that sample of my blood, they can find me. I need to destroy it.
But you're a Grey Warden now.
What's to stop the Chantry from deciding mages and the Grey Wardens are apostates too? I want to be sure they can't ever find me again. Ever.
You think they might have my phylactery?
They might. I only know mine is there for certain.
If that's what you want.
It is. And you should consider looking for your phylactery too. I know we're busy killing Darkspawn and all, but the sooner we find this vial, the better I'll feel. Point the way, fearless leader.
Okay. Not like that's going to affect things in the next game or anything. Right. Hi, suspicious guard.
I see you got my letter, Commander. It's an honor to meet you.
Dark Wolf, I presume.
In the flesh. The less you know of me, the better. But by some, I am called the Dark Wolf. In the depths of the city, there is murmuring. Murmuring that nobles want you dead. I'd like to help.
I love his voice. It is just about the perfect embodiment of this archetype. Reminds me of Flambeau, the thief from the Father Brown series. Both the novels, or the novellas, short stories, whatever, but also the BBC series, which I thought was very, very good. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. At least the first couple of seasons of it were very good. With the guy who plays Arthur Weasley, plays Father Brown for Chesterton's novels. It's great. It's a really well done series. I really enjoyed it. And Flambeau is this recurring thief, villain, antagonist guy, with whom Father Brown kind of develops a sort of relationship where he is trying to save the guy's soul, even though the guy is also all at the same time simultaneously trying to use Father Brown while also being a little bit pulled towards the light, it seems. Well, it's a really intricate little story involving all of that I greatly enjoy. That's honestly, it's not my favorite aspect of the show. It's cool and all, but honestly, my favorite part of the show is just the Catholicity of it all, but then also the Catholicity of it all set in a quaint little English countryside town, which is just beautiful and just delightful. I love it. Kevin agrees. Okay, that dude's cool. Yeah, very cool. Why would you want to help me?
You see, I have hopes that the Wardens will prove more fit to rule this land than the late Arl Rendon Howe. His confederates are the conspirators. But to unearth their identities, I'll need resources. 50 sovereigns.
So you're doing this out of some sense of civic duty?
Corrupt, miserly nobles have beggared many a proud commoner. Some commoners turn to distasteful occupations just to survive. Is it not fitting that they would want to strike back in the only way they're able?
Huh. Very Robin Hoodish. All right, 50 sovereigns it is. I rarely have that, but I do. Here you go.
It will be done. Give me some time.
What do I have? I have 30 left. Okay. Woo. That's how to leave. I take it that's an arm.
Lizard eyes. Lizard
Hey.
eyes. Lizard eyes.
Interesting.
Heart's blood. What? Pathetic creature!
Get back here.
Brilliant! I knew we'd manage somehow.
Yes.
Certainly a mage. Being very sketchy. Guardsman. Let's go back to where we Mashed Potato says the Father Brown stories were really fun mysteries. Yes, they really were. Sort of one of the inspirations for Agatha Christie's novels, and a lot of other mystery stories moving forward. Like I said, it was very good. They were very good. The series, the BBC series, was only sort of loosely based on the novels. It's not. Most of them aren't adaptations of Chesterton's actual mysteries. A few of them are, at least loose adaptations, or at least close enough for me to vaguely recognize them. But mostly they're original stories. But they certainly carry the same tone and the same sort of general feel.
Warden Commander! Thank the Maker you're finally here. I was afraid our messages never got through to you.
You nervous?
Yes. Thank you for coming to the Guild. We need your help. Our caravans are being attacked. The wagons are burnt to ashes, and there have been no survivors. It's gotten worse lately. People from the neighbouring villages have found guards torn limb from limb and left in the village square.
This needs to stop immediately.
Yes, that much is clear. Whatever it is, it's completely crippled trade between Amaranthine and Denerim. No one wants to travel the road through the Wending Wood. Can the Grey Wardens help at all?
I'll look into it and I'll investigate immediately. This will be the next thing I do.
Oh, Maker.
After I
Bless
finish up
you
in the
and
city, we'll
watch
probably
over
start
you.
that tonight.
If you can stop the killings, the Merchants Guild will make a hefty donation to your organisation. You have my promise.
Mashed Potato says there's a really good reference in one of the episodes. I remember a few. There were a few really good ones. I need to rewatch the series. It's been a while. Or at least catch up with it. I know it got past me, and I only watched the first 2 seasons. Kind of lost track. Need for some Lost Legion silks. They left in room. Found for Amaranthine. Okay, I'll see if I can find them. Apharath's monuments. Statues. Charcoal rubbings of the inscriptions. Okay, sure. Here, Alvard's missing sword. Village of Blackmarsh. Mission from the blacksmith. Okay. Out of reach of children. Lethal Antivan poison. Uh-oh. Smuggled in. Let's find it and get rid of it. Cool. A lot of stuff going on. Is that it?
You're back. Have you any news?
Oh, sorry, not this time.
Greetings, Warden Commander. You're the sort who delights in helping the common man, yes? May I direct you to the Merchants Guild's board?
Yeah, something you need help with?
Me? No, not me, personally. Folk here often need goods from far-flung parts. They post the requests here. There is good coin in business, particularly with trade halted by the trouble on the roads. If you ever feel inclined, please take a look at the jobs available.
Okay. Understood. Ashtata says, in the episode where the poor German priest gets injured, Father Brown's friend, a female socialite, goes to visit him while he's in the hospital. I think I vaguely remember that. He's got potions. Sell all this stuff that we don't. Aha! Potions. Can't really afford that. Yeah, can't really afford much in terms of potions. Sell that though. That we need. As much lyrium dust as I want here. That's good to know. I was going to read a book, and though they never bring it up, the book she brings is Lady Chatterley's Lover. It's all about a woman in high social standing having an affair with a poor man. It leads on to what her motivations were for visiting or priest might be. I don't know if I caught that. I'm pretty sure I remember that episode, that story, but I don't think I caught that that little reference. That's neat.
Delilah? Is that really you?
Nathaniel!
Fits her character,
I had
though,
feared the
certainly.
worst.
Times must have been hard, Delilah. But you can do better than this. Come back to the estate until we find somewhere else.
What? Oh, Nathaniel, I didn't marry Albert out of desperation. I adore him. I was so glad to get away from Father's evil. This life is so much better.
Father's evil? Isn't that overstating things a little? He got caught up in politics.
You weren't here. You didn't see what he did, Nathaniel. You want the culprit who destroyed our family? It was him, without question.
I had no idea.
Of course you did. But you always worshipped Father, right from when you were a little boy. Come, brother, let us sit and catch up a bit, shall we?
She said she wants me to come back. Once all this is done. Meet her husband. She's due by the spring. She seems happy. She said Father deserved to die. I still can't believe it.
You don't believe her?
I thought he had his reasons. It was a war for Andraste's sake. Before I went to the free marches, he was never... How could he have changed so much?
Maybe he was never who you thought he was.
I suppose not. I wish I'd known some of this sooner. I feel like such a fool. Now please, let's get back to our business. I need to think.
Must keep calm, keep normal. Yes, everything is fine. Must keep calm, keep normal. Yes, everything is fine.
Yes, ma'am. Huh. Okay, well, I've been cursed. Jeez, that's a nasty curse. Let's see what's this.
I think I can help with that.
Sell that.
there was an old lady here who used to sell apples as big as my head. I think she was a witch.
We didn't just kill her, did we?
Greetings, could I interest you in, Wait a minute. My lad said they saw you talking to the... You'll learn not to stick your nose where it don't belong.
How are you glowing and why? What is happening here? Ogren just say something about his happy dance. What? A grocer has this. A volcanic aurum spell fury staff. Woo! Plus 20 spell power. My God. For 172 gold, that's a lot, but damn if that's worth it. Wow, okay, Heaven's Wrath, man. How about now? See, none of this is better than what I have. What I have is actually really, really good, Magister Lord, but damn, that's nice. Okay, I'm gonna have to save up for that eventually. Ooh, a bunch of other things too. Jesus, look at all this. Wow. Jeez. Okay, wow, this is nuts. None of this was what I was expecting. That somebody. Rune tracings. This is how to make runes. God, that's you. You there, buddy. You are unexpected. Man, oh man, alright. How about this guy?
I think that's where the phylacteries are.
I can't get my
Probably guarded.
Denerim. It's just awful.
Did he just say this is where the phylacteries are? That's a great deal of... That's a great many things. Nice. Ooh. Need that. Legionnaire Scout. Okay, so this is for the warrior specialization. Or sorry, no, the scout or the rogue specialization. It's fine. This is apparently where the phylacteries are, so let's check this out, yeah.
No guards? Maybe they don't want to draw attention to the cache. Could we be that lucky?
Oh. Rod. Nice. This is... I have to look it up because look up what quick save is so I don't accidentally quick load. Like I said, I've been playing KOTOR 2 off stream. Quick save is F5. Okay. In which quick save is F4 and quick load is F5. So a couple of times trying to save, I accidentally reloaded my last save and goofed. That was a big old goof. Maybe I should. It's not bad. Doorkeepers. Let's see, what about these things? Wearing, not the lightning rod. Lorekeeper's mitts might be good. Nah. Lorekeeper's boots. Yes, actually, it's better. Blood promise. There's blood magic. We don't have blood magic, but Anders does. Well, that looks boring for him, but okay. Sure, let's give him that. Alright, that'll work. Let's quick save again. I do, I mentioned, have one more announcement. One more thing that I want to announce.
I think I can help with that.
Boring. Coming up with the channel, Eric and I have been talking a bunch about...
And here I almost believed the infamous Anders wouldn't take the bait.
Ah, yes. I suppose I should have known it would be you.
You made a poor choice with this one, Commander. Anders will never submit, not to us and not to you.
He's made a fine Grey Warden so far.
So far, yes. I'll make sure that this murderer is never a bother to anyone again.
What? No, you can't arrest me! King Alistair allowed my conscription.
The Chantress' authority supersedes the crown in this matter. You cannot hide within the Grey Warden's ranks.
No, he stays with us.
Hardly surprising from yet another mage. I do not know how you inspire such loyalty, Anders, but it will avail you not. Now you come with us.
No. Let's go with no. Oh, jeez. Bastards. Freeze everyone. Resisted. Really?
I wonder if Nemea knew about this. I guess it doesn't really matter. Thank you. You stood by me, and I appreciate that.
I never liked Templars much.
That's because they're all jerks. Anyhow, let's go before someone else rushes in to waggle a finger at us.
That's fair. All right. Really? She just has a health poultice? Fine. Go, but... I assume the phylacteries aren't actually here, but...
I think I can help with that.
Never know. Wait, really? Oh. I thought that was the little shelf of phylacteries. I was like, wait, no way.
I think I can help with that.
Alright, out we go! Kevin says, did you just grow a tree? He's rolling in the money. Not rolling in the money. I did this. It's a keeper spell. And then I did this.
And I'm off.
Really cool spell. It's the part of the keeper specialization. I love it. I wish it were in the base game. I wish there were a way to mod it into the base game. I have yet to find one to sort of retroactively put it as specialization in the base game. It is awesome. Let's sell some of the stuff we just found, shall we? That, like, honestly, the lightning rod, I kind of regret having to sell it, but I'm gonna keep those because they might actually become in handy for somebody, for someone else. That too. Those are actually really good. That I don't actually need. No, I don't. Let's see. I kind of want to get rid of all these runes that I'm probably never. Fine. Because I can't put the runes in storage. That's the annoying. Okay, onward we go. So we're back to doing another round around the city. There's one more apostate Maleficar to chase down. There's a tavern to see, and then there's the battlements to check. Before we are set to leave Amaranthine for now. In the meanwhile, I was mentioning Erica and I've been thinking about doing about starting a podcast series every probably week or 2 weeks, probably 2 weeks reasonably. Schedule going. We'll see when. We were wanting to do a sort of media review channel media review series.
Their hands on some moonshine. You think they'll sell some to me?
Hubert hates you.
That's a no then. Get out of here.
Okay, fine. We were talking about doing a sort of media review series. Called the Peculiarly Papist Perspectives. That is something I'm going to have to practice pronouncing. But I never will say no to a good alliteration.
Back from all those nosy
and no, it is. I mean, it was initially sort of a play on purely papist, as in purely papist saint posting. Most of you are familiar with the group, that sort of milieu. But I think it would be a good use of our time, a fun little way of looking at media from a Catholic perspective, from first and foremost from a couple of Catholic lay people, Catholic parents.
Andraste or the Archdemon?
The Archdemon.
Scholar to some degree, at least on my part. Light of Orphans. Yes, let's give 50 still.
That would be cheating.
Yeah.
Are you calling Andraste?
But I think it would be a lot of fun. It would be a good way of looking through some sort of recent media stuff. Probably recent, and that's the other thing is we're still sort of narrowing down our focus, what we want to look at, what we want to focus on, what we want to talk about. And we've been kind of torn between going back and doing old stuff, like stuff that we grew up on and more nostalgic type things, or just doing things from the past few years that kind of strike our attention. Maybe looking at like kids media because we're always watching stuff with our kids, or just keep on relatively close to the cutting edge stuff that's in the popular culture. That would, of course, on paper at least, require us to pay for things or find alternatives. But in any case, that one way or the other, it might be a thing to do to sort of look at new media even, or older media, as the case might be, and look for some of the Catholic themes or stuff that we can take away from it, or some of the moral character or the theological character of some works of fiction, to see what value there is and see what flaws there are in these various things. We kind of got the idea when we were watching WandaVision, because there's a lot of thematic material in there. We didn't get around to doing it at the time, but we're thinking about it now. Maybe thinking about going back through. This would involve, notes and carefully going through it through series or films or have you. But it could be a really good time. It could be something really worthwhile doing. If you guys would be interested in following along and listening to something like that, do let me know. In particular, let me know what you guys would be interested in hearing about. If you'd want more of a focus on sort of really up to date material, new stuff, or if you'd like something more like looking back over old things that stick out in our memory. But it's something that we're working on doing, and we're hoping to get started in the next. So hopefully we'll be starting that soonish and start going through things and deciding what to analyze, and we'll have hopefully have an episode, have our first few episodes ready soon-ish. But we'll see. Like I said, if you're interested in following that sort of thing, do let me know what kind of content you'd like us to cover.
Something I can do for you, friend?
A Grey Warden named Christoph come through here.
And who are you supposed to be that's asking?
Dalen, also a Grey Warden.
Oh, welcome, my lord. Haven't seen that fellow Christoph for almost a week now. Not sure where he went. His room's paid up to the end of the month. I guess he expected he'd be here a while.
I'd like to see his room.
Of course. Here you go. It's the last room at the end of the hall. If he comes back and gets upset, however, it's on your head.
He's not allowed to be upset. I'm his commander. All right. Let's see. What else we got? Wait, was that his? Oh, that is his room. Let's see what else we have, though. First, before we do that.
Going.
I think I can help with that.
It's not showing me this trapdoor, but it's very obvious. Okay.
Huh.
Nice room. A map, chest, and the swords over the mantelpiece. First awesome of it. Assume that's Mendoza, a gift for him. As we find.
I think I can help with that.
Aura. Spirit cord. Does he have a spirit cord? He's not a rogue. Sister and her babe are well. I shall leave Jader as soon as they're settled. Expect me at Vigil's Keep within a month. Carlton's cold and wet, so make sure your socks are dry before you put them on. I know how it is with men. You can slay 1,000 Darkspawn, but when it comes to clean clothes and dry socks, you're hopeless. Can't wait to see you. Love, all. Oh. A book. What's this? Stuff's journal. In town, I've heard about the Darkspawn stragglers. I doubt it. Reports myself. Till a man told me he encountered Darkspawn in the Black Marsh. Although locals say the marsh is haunted, brave and desperate souls like this man still risk collecting peat. Man said their leader spoke, but all know Darkspawn can't talk. More horrifying, he described a monster, a worm with legs. Really, he was mistaken about following the Darkspawn. Leave the Black Marsh in the morning. Go into Black Marsh. Confirmed. Alright then. Well, that is where we go to find Kristoff, but I think we're going to Wending Wood first. Before all that, let's see. Muttering Elf. Vicious character. Let's go back to the elf first. Back down here first. Track down that last Maleficar. Aha!
You bloody bastard! Catch me!
All right.
Sorry for you. Anyway, on. Suspicious character up this way, I think, and then we'll check out these the city ramparts.
You know, Nathaniel, you're just like me.
Let's do this. Spell immunity up. Okay. Ogren. Go kill him. Let's do, let's do that. Running off to other support. Oh, done. Do more zappy zapping. Come on. Stop running. Okay. And he's running away, but let's loot first, I suppose.
Yes.
Gosh, really, this guy? This guy is just more trouble than he's worth. Really, Agrin? You're just rushing right in? Okay. Fine. Well, that was one heck of a fight, wasn't it? All right. Okay. Well, we know where he was directly going. Going to that smuggler's den. Let's backtrack a bit. Let's loot anything we can. Poison.
Going.
Alright. Much more dead goons. Goons, not goons. Words don't work. Alright.
Yes.
Keep forgetting that I wanted to get a both an auto loot and a oh, that's right. I looked for a mod to increase or eliminate the inventory cap. Apparently, you can't. It is very fundamental to the game's code that the inventory cap be topped. It maxes out at 125. That is apparently a very fundamental part of the game's code. Can't really be modded.
Any luck with the smugglers?
There's an abandoned house that may lead to their den.
That house has been locked up for years. To think that all this time it's been hiding the entrance. There will surely be someone on guard. Where there's a guard, there's a key.
I'll investigate.
If you can find a way into the hideout, the smugglers won't have a chance. Good luck, Commander.
I mean, you say that, but I'm also just wandering straight into their stronghold. So, look at tree.
Ah, can you smell that? That is the smell of freedom. It comes complete with the smell of dogs and dust, but the freedom is in there too.
As he says, Mew, I agree. Cat somewhere. You think being a Grey Warden is freedom?
I may not have a choice about fighting the Darkspawn, but this is a step up for me. I escaped from the tower 7 times. After the last time, they put me in solitary confinement for a year. Eventually, I'm sure they would have branded me a Maleficar, true or not, and executed me. You know as well as I do, don't you? The problem is that mages are tolerated, barely. It's like you need permission to be alive. There's nothing a mage can do to prove himself. Everyone needs to be protected from you. The end.
Interesting topic of discussion, right? The question of treatment of mages and its connection to the idea of tolerance as well. I think that this is kind of a misuse of the idea of tolerance, of the word tolerance at least. I don't think that quite counts, right? Tolerance here means a kind of disapproval, typically either moral disapproval or just factual disagreement or whatnot, while allowing the other person to exist and allowing the other person to do what they will, right? It's the tolerance, right, is the functional middle ground between the libertine and the Puritan, right? Between the authoritarian left and the authoritarian right. Tolerance is it involves a kind of condemnation, a kind of saying what you are doing or what you're saying is wrong, while also saying that I cannot and will not justly stop you. And this is where I think, again, both authoritarian sides of the political spectrum miss something, right? The authoritarian left says, echoing Anders here, you must not only allow me to be whatever I will be, right? Allow me to have hold whatever perspective I will hold, do whatever it is that I want to do, but that you have to approve of it, right? That without that approval, there still exists some kind of oppression or intolerance. Right? Whereas the opposite side, right, the authoritarian right, let's say, says that anything that is wrong ought to be prohibited. And by prohibited, I mean stopped, typically using violence. So, I mean, to be fair, maybe he's right that tolerance is exactly what mages get, but only kind of, not really. They are restrained in a really significant way, even innocent mages. So, if it were tolerance, that might be fine. But I also, based on Anders' character and how he interacts with people, I also don't think he would be satisfied with tolerance properly construed. I've said this for a long time, right? That libertines and Puritans, the authoritarian left and the authoritarian right, make the same mistake, which is to conflate justice, broadly speaking, right? Righteousness, rightness, correctness, morality, with enforceability. The right says that everything that is wrong, or they both agree that something ought to be punished if and only if it is morally wrong. The right says all of these things are morally wrong, therefore they ought to be punished. By contrast, the left says these things ought not to be punished, and therefore they are not morally wrong. These ought not to be punished or stopped. They make the same fundamental error, it's just that they take, right, one takes a modus ponens and the other takes a modus tollens, right? But it's the same fundamental error. It's the same biconditional, if you will. The proper answer, which is, of course, how just so happens to also be the libertarian answer, broadly speaking, at least the right libertarian answer, the left libertarians get a little bit itchy with respect to tolerance and want a little more libertinism. But the answer is, of course, to reject the biconditional, or to reject the if and only if statement, right? That to put a proper separation between moral condemnation and violent prohibition. So if mages were in fact tolerated, properly speaking, that would mean that they'd be allowed to do what they will if they don't hurt anyone, if they don't become abominations, murder spree, right? Excuse me, or become blood mages and take over people's minds. That's the thing blood mages can do. If they were permitted to live as they wish, I think that would be acceptable. There'd be nothing. That would be this proper middle ground, right? Even if the Chantry disapproves of mages using magic for personal ends, if they do so, it can disapprove without attempting to, suppress them, or oppress them, or constrain them, like it currently does. And this applies to just about everything, right? And I mean, it's on everyone's minds because, funny enough, I'm celebrating the first week of June by being banned from Facebook, of course, naturally as one does, because of tolerance, right? Because I espouse the virtue of tolerance, as it will, rather than one or the other side of authoritarianism. If you're interested in what specifically got me banned, if you don't know, find it in the Discord. It's in there. Yeah, I shared something perfectly innocuous. It just happened to have funny connotations. In any case, right? It's this is very, very common problem that's come up this month with Pride Month and all that, right? According to the secular cultural liturgy, June is Pride Month, that particular deadly sin, where one must not only tolerate but accept and embrace and praise even. Let's say the deadly sin of pride and that which is associated with it. Let's say also the deadly sin of lust, etc., etc., etc. It's not enough to tolerate; we must approve, and this is the authoritarian left side. And it's easy to fall into countering that by saying, "Well, no, because we will not approve, then we will not even tolerate. We cannot be made to even tolerate." That's making the same error. It's just going the other direction with it. Kevin asks, how are you banned and I'm not? Because I'm a better shitposter than you. Also, I shitpost in much more public areas. And let's say well-patrolled areas. By which I mean I was shitposting in the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus group. And that group is regularly watched over by various screeching. I don't want to call anyone out in particular. Do I? I kind of do. There's a group called Fakertarians. They're left libertarian types. They're libertine types, and they utterly despise the Mises types and the anything that vaguely resembles religion. Anything that vaguely resembles the right, broadly speaking, conservatism, traditionalism, capitalism, etc., all that. And they still maintain that they're libertarians. It's kind of funny that they would claim such. But in any case, right? They often will. They have basically spies in the group that go through and either screenshot things for their own weird semi-mimetic purposes, or just to report stuff, and that's apparently what happened. So I contacted the mods and such to know that there are people doing that. And really, the whole honestly, I'm going on a further tangent, but hey, it's quite medieval of me, I suppose. Like I said last week, read The Discarded Image, another book from C.S. Lewis. Evan says, lol, I guess so. I do tend to haunt exclusively far-right groups. See, there you go. And I mean, this is what usually gets accused of being a far-right group, at least. It's just that one that's regularly patrolled by screeching leftists. Authoritarian libertines, as you are, if you... Misty says, you and Abe, y'all missing all the spicy memes. I'm seeing them! Can't contribute much. I've made a few decent ones recently that I was able to post before the ban hammer came down on the first day of the solemn month of June, that month of pride as I said, in the secular liturgical season. Because you can't escape liturgy, you just have to adapt it to your own malformed purpose. Anyway, right. But yeah, so I digress a lot. Yeah, it's anyway, I got sidetracked there from talking about tolerance of mages, and I will say also the whole mage plight thing gets often compared. It's used to sort of symbolically represent oppressed minorities and things like that. But I think there is a bit of well, I was going to say, I think there's a bit of a disanalogy, because mages can become possessed by demons and become abominations that wreak destruction upon all of society. But I don't know, maybe there is some parallelism. I can sympathize.
I should certainly hope so. All I want is a pretty girl, a decent meal, and the right to shoot lightning at fools.
As he says a while ago, sorry I missed this. When I play a mage, I may be faithful. I can't imagine any mage disliking leaving the circle. Yeah, I tend to agree. Especially in Inquisition, though, I tend to play a very devout mage. Because I play typically human, the human mage, typically in Inquisition, just because, like I said, I could never play a melee class without a controller. I might try it now that I do have one, though, but we'll see. We'll see when we get there. But I always play a mage, and whether Dalish or human in particular, I always play a devout Andrastian because of her family, right? The family background is a very devoted to the Chantry family. And just because she went off and joined the circle, that doesn't mean that she abandoned her family's ancient faith. Evan thought that was funny. My comparison to Abomination. With power comes responsibility.
Does it also come with suspicion, condemnation, and the loss of all personal freedom? Never mind me. Now and again I recall that I'm not sitting in a cell and I have to smile. That's all.
Yeah. What's that? That note fragment. How am I supposed to get to that? Is that on the battlements? Oh, it is. It's on the battlements. Okay, I can go up to the battlements for that. Alright, I'll go back to that after I try this. Alright. Really? Just gonna come out swinging, right? Absolute. Zappy time. Okay, got them all. Cool. Missy says, I do love being an Andrastian faithful. Yeah, especially in Inquisition. And like I said, I'll talk more about this when we get there. But I love the plot of Inquisition, even if, like, honestly, the second half after you meet Corypheus the first time at Haven, it feels like almost anticlimactic because you're on this sort of this just series of win after win after win after win against Corypheus and his hordes and all of that, right? It seems to be just this kind of progress against the bad guy rather than a sort of escalation of threat. It's like an escalation of victory, which usually makes for a sort of de-escalation of drama. But I don't think it does, in part because I think there is a kind of first of all, there's other threats lurking in the background, which play a huge role. But then also, some of which we'll inevitably be dealing with when we get to Dragon Age 4, obviously. But then also, what's the DLC? It's the one DLC, the one major one. Anyway, we'll get there when we get there. But in any case, the whole plot, especially after you get to Skyhold, just feels providential, particularly with being the sort of Herald of Andraste and all of that. It feels like the Maker is on your side throughout this whole quest to defeat the Ancient Magister Lord and the Blight and corruption of Lyrian, all this stuff that we wind up fighting in Inquisition. It feels so much like that it's guided by divine providence, And that makes so much more sense if you're playing, you know, a faithful Andrastian, more so a faithful Andrastian woman. One, because of the structure of Andrastian religion, but then also, again, I've talked about this when we played Mass Effect. The structure of the narrative is of it's the heroine's journey of guiding and directing and nurturing this group which is going to save the world, rather than the hero's journey of going out and saving the world on one's own. Right? Yes, gathering everything, but you're the point of the spear. For Inquisition, it's not so much. Yes, you are. You have the gift. You have the power. You have the thing. But still, right? Isn't it this one? I forget which hand, but you get the idea. Like Missy says, like she's chosen. Yes, yeah, very much so. I think the whole chosen thing really, really fits the theme. Like all of it fits the theme just so well. Toy chariot. But it all really works well. Kevin says, I'm actually somewhat envious of your bandments. It says a competition rising in me. I may need to go and make mischief. It was the Entertainment Weekly thing. If you know what it is, then you know what it is. That's what actually got the... Let's back up here a moment. Quick save, just in case.
I heard about you. You were giving some of my boys trouble, weren't you?
Yeah, that's true. Bye. What? You woke up. He's an assassin. I don't like this. No, it's just him left, so I think we're okay. Hold on a second. I think I was hearing some kind of a weird siren or something in the background. Erica, if that was real, please do let me know. Or if it was part of the music or something. Kevin says, oh, that's a classic. Well done. The Entertainment Weekly thing. Yeah, I tend to think so. I'm telling you, it was perfectly innocent. I will say also, though, especially sort of just given the origin of the meme, I actually submitted an appeal to the Facebook board of whatever, their independent review board. I don't expect anything to come of it, but it's especially ironic given that it's not like I was anywhere close to the first to publish this or to share it. It's of course just, you know, sharing what somebody else had posted completely innocently, obviously, you know, no big deal. Things, stuff. This is a nice little cove. Like it. I get why they live here. It's pleasant. Alright, let's see. Of all of this crap, where's this thorn? No. Nathaniel should have this in his offhand. Some fire arrows. This trickster is gloves. Oh, yeah. It's way better. The nimble. Yeah, that's better too. Ooh. Yeah. It's really good. Resistance. Eh. Yeah. Silverhammer's evaded. Lorekeeper's mittens. Yeah, probably better. Neat. Especially for blood magic. Alright, cool. That'll do us. Alright, let's pop up and emerge back in the inn, of course, as one does. Mashed Potato says, I got banned for mentioning a song by a grindcore band. Was it because of the title of the song, or was it someone mistook it as offensive?
Best watch yourself if you head out of town. Too many darkspawn about.
Wondering. I mean, if it is, you don't have to say what it is, because I also don't want either your comment or my stream wiki-wikied. I've already been zucked. So, at least, you know, I will say, at least the tech overlords have names which are very conducive to being made fun of. If absolutely nothing else, we can at least give thanks for that. You got the Zuck, you got Susan WikiWiki. I'm amazed that getting banned on Twitter isn't called getting jacked.
And I'm off.
But whatever. Okay, yeah, I figured. Kevin says, I have a warning on mine for posting a picture of Stalin and a certain Austrian art school flunky. Sitting in the clouds looking down at some commies and alphabeticals. I mean, having them sitting in the clouds, I get why that's offensive, because it's implying that they're not in the other place. But, you know, God willing, we can hope that there was a final repentance on both of their parts. Unlikely as it might be. Damn near impossible as it might, but not quite impossible.
I've thought about what you said, Anders. The comparison between my family and mages, it's idiotic. I'm not about to transform into an abomination simply for being a How.
I didn't say it was a perfect analogy.
Being a How also does not allow me to control your mind.
Kinda missing my point, aren't you?
I am not a fan of oversimplifications.
Fine, fine. Your loss.
Nathaniel kind of has a point there. Then again, he's a politician, so that's almost as bad, maybe worse. Yeah. Mashed Potato says, such as song names. Austrian painter with a mustache was a sensitive man. It's one, song name. Two, true, from all accounts. He was a bit of a softie, albeit, you know, a ragingly violent one. The ragingly violent ones often are. Or I went back in time and voted for Austrian painter with a mustache. Oh, jeez. I can see how that could be misconstrued. I suppose. Yeah. Kevin says, "Dare we hope?" Yes. So okay. Let's get into this too, because this is its own separate kerfuffle of questions. So there's the question of. So this is referring to Hans Urs von Balthasar. God, that's hard to say. And the question that's been more recently popularized by Bishop Barron: dare we hope that all might be saved? And this is representing the what's called the hopeful universalist position, which is that we ought to have reasonable hope that hell is empty, that all might be saved in due course through divine providence and through repentance and choice and all of that, right? Don't tell the Calvinists I said the word choice. But you get the idea, right? So this has been a hot topic of debate, particularly in Catholic circles, because it's not heretical, but it's kind of close. What? Who the heck are you? Apostate blood mage. An actual blood mage. You're chanting about blood magic, so I'm assuming that you're actually a blood mage. Suck some magic. How about we freeze you before you finish that spell, huh? Can't stop this one. Oh, I stopped it. Cool. That's good news. Is that it? Mashed Potato says, but it was in a thread where they were talking about the band. Everyone who knows that band knows how edgy. Yeah, I mean, I had someone call the cops on me because I posted Streetlight Manifesto lyrics on Facebook when I was an undergrad.
Anything to report? The city of Amaranthine owes you a great debt.
So, I know.
Thank you, Commander.
I sympathize. 10 gold, that's a nice payday for that. Let's go up there. Yeah, and I mean, especially if the context is obvious, that's patently absurd. But, excuse me.
Huh.
Up here, is that? Excuse me. Is that about it? I think that is everything in the city. I think. Is it? Oh, we should go to the oh yeah, we have to go to the chantry and turn stuff in. Okay. What was I saying before I digressed about someone calling the cops on me for song lyrics?
Repent and have faith, and you shall know the peace of the Maker's benediction.
Oh, right. Dare we hope. Right. Dare we hope that all may be saved.
In this world are finite.
Right. So, the contentious question is whether there is reasonable hope that all might be saved. And the counter arguments go that this is contrary to Revelation, right? That I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember the quote, but that the road to perdition is wide and the path to salvation is narrow. Things like that, and how Christ talks about the harrowing of hell and the dangers of hell, the very real dangers of hell, and all of that, right? No. Can't do that. It's better. Potato, I even censored the name of the Austrian too, as one probably reasonably would. I still don't know what to make Anders for his third specialization. I kind of want to do Battlemate, but that doesn't fit him well. Kind of Shapeshifter, maybe? I don't know. I'll see if I even need to pick something yet. Probably don't. Let's do Green. Don't like that so much. Make him creepy. It says it makes me want to unironically radicalize. Same TBH. Sometimes it really the
I will pray for you, Commander.
The tech censorship stuff really and particularly the subject matter of it really it drives a kind of reactance. And I'll put a couple of links in the description if you haven't seen my conversation from about a year ago now, close to it, not quite. It was last fall sometime with Sean Malone from the Foundation for Economic Education. We talked about some of this this kind of this drive for censorship. And especially its counterproductive results. Right? And then also, I'll put a link as well to Aiden Paladin, another YouTuber I follow pretty closely. About she does pretty long, extended videos on psychology, where she talks about reactance and how these types of measures, which are meant to inspire conformity, usually just inspire reactance instead. And it's the old meme, right? It's the who radicalized you, and then Chad walks up to Wojak, to Soy Boy Wojak, and says, "You did," because yeah, it's how that works. Like the most radicals were radicalized because they were pushed too far, right? Because they started seeing something more wrong with the world that they saw a problem with. It's not like people just get radicalized for no good reason. Right? People start thinking in more radical terms when, especially against something, when the thing that they are against is very strong, very prominent, and very in their face, and very directly against them. Yeah, Kevin, that's the one I'm talking about. He says, "I tend to believe that the greater majority of people, including Catholics, will be damned. I don't like it. It's not something I take pleasure in thinking, but I don't see a way around the words of Jesus regarding the two paths. Maybe again, I have no need. I find no need to speculate one way or the other about the comparative numbers of the saved versus the damned. I don't know. I'll know someday, but not in this life. So I don't speculate. It's not my place to speculate. Let's go back to the keep for now. We only got about 20 minutes left. So let's make sure everything is done at the keep before we move on. And then we'll start by going to the Wending Wood, shall we? And we'll start there next week. But yeah, I don't speculate one way or the other. What I will say though is we probably, again, because Christ's words are so strong on the matter, we probably have no reasonable hope that all might be saved. I don't agree with the Balthasarian position there.
Of course.
However, a slight modification we ought to hold to. I think we certainly ought to affirm that even though we might not have reasonable hope that all might be saved, I think we ought to have a reasonable hope that each might be saved. Right? That any individual, no matter how reprobate, that there is some chance that each individual, any individual, no matter, like I said, no matter the state of their soul, there is some chance that each and any individual might be saved. And I want to extend this universally. And I think it would probably even be justified to extend this universally. The only possible exception... Oh, sorry.
Not sure I can.
Talk.
Technically, I'm a surface dwarf now.
Why technically? You don't know for certain?
It's not like they send you a letter. Congratulations, you've been ejected from the warrior caste.
Do you care?
Sometimes. Then I drink more and it goes away.
Me lift heavy thing, make sad voice in head stop. Evan says many versus few doesn't seem speculative to me. I mean, maybe not. Again, I don't see a reason to speculate. That's the thing. And out of an abundance of caution, in order to avoid presumption, I say I don't know, and I probably can't know. I'm open to the possibility that I'm open to the reading of Scripture that many are damned if you
not the first how to be a Grey Warden.
Like I said, I'm open to that reading. I don't think that I don't want to reject that out of hand. I think that is a possibility, and I think that's even a reasonable reading. I don't quite think that is a definitive reading of the text, though, particularly because it hasn't been settled magisterially. So I won't hold too fast to it. That's all. Now the question then becomes: are there exceptions? Are there some we know are damned for damn sure, so to speak? The one that comes to mind is Judas, right? Judas Iscariot, and I probably it's kind of hard to wiggle around Christ's words on the matter. Better for him to have not born. However, I have seen one reading of this, and it's Balthasar's reading, that it would have been better, morally speaking, for him not to have been born, because all of the good he did not outweigh his betrayal of Christ. And so it would have been morally better. It would have been morally better off under the law to have not have been born. But then we can still wonder we can still speculate as to whether he may have had he may have repented in the last moment, right? He may have anything like that. Maybe that's plausible. It's I think that Judas is probably in hell. But again, even that. I think there is some remote possibility that we can read that text as saying something else, right? Not as saying that he is in fact damned. So I do think I hold something like the modified Balthasarian position that there is reasonable hope that any might be saved, any one individual, even including Judas, although that's a hard case, really hard case. And I'll point out as well, right? There are some types of examples that just drive me to say that no, there are people who voluntarily, forthrightly, in clear presence of mind, reject God. Now, as to whether they repent at some point before the end, maybe. I can't know that. But there is certainly a kind of act of rejection, God's grace, that is hard to work our way around. An example of this might be the kind of resentful atheist. The example that actually stuck out to me oddly is somebody like Stephen Fry, who when asked about whether God exists and like what if you're wrong, he brings up the problem of evil, and he brings up bone cancer in children and horrible things that happen to people, horrible things that happen to innocent people, and basically he accuses God and says, and says that basically he places himself morally above God. It's that kind of resentment to being that I don't think is that I think is ultimately damning, and is unlikely to be that it would be very hard to turn away from, let's say. Kevin says, I do agree that each individual might be saved. Individual salvations are in the mind alone. Yeah. I think that's uncontroversial. And the thing is that absent direct revelation to the contrary, and that's the key. That is the key caveat. But absent direct revelation to the contrary, from that premise, we can derive the conclusion that all might be saved. However, we kind of have direct revelation to the contrary. Sorry, Balthazar. Sorry, Baron, who Bishop Baron I have immense respect for. Even he doesn't, from my knowledge, he doesn't necessarily hold this position. He just thinks that it's a respectable position, it's a plausible one, that we might have reasonable hope. Right? Hopeful universalist position. Even still, all due respect to people who are smarter than I am, both of them, I don't think that's a plausible reading. And I do think that we do have explicit revelation to the contrary, that some at least are damned. Now, to be fair to the Balthasarian position, his reading of those passages is essentially that it is very easy to fall into sin and damnation. Not that anyone, in fact, will. Again, it's a hell of a stretch. But hey, if I'm willing to stretch my interpretation to the point of saying that Judas could plausibly have been saved. Okay? I think the big thing comes down to what reasonable hope means. I think that it is logically possible, right? It's not a logical or metaphysical impossibility that all might be saved, but I don't think that it's anything like likely. It's not something that we should have any reason to suspect is the case. Put it that way. Carrying on the family tradition, then.
Following in my grandfather's footsteps, more like. His name was Padric Howe. He joined the Order before it returned to Ferelden just after the war. Never contacted his family again. Just vanished. Now that I know about the joining,
I think he died.
Many good men and women died during the joining.
I know that now. Father always said he was a horrible man for abandoning the family to join a pointless cause. I grew up ashamed of my grandfather. But now I see his bravery. That will take some getting used to.
More complication. First of all, I like Rendon Howe's journey. I like to see this. It's really cool, this this development that he goes through of having to reform all of his perceptions that he grew up with, all of these understandings and perceptions of his family, of the people around him, and relearn what life is like, what the world around him is like, now that he's an adult, coming back into it and looking at it with fresh eyes. It mirrors the kind of developmental picture that we all, or the developmental process that we all have to go through of to put it in psychological terms, maybe even Jungian terms, right? Confronting the humanity of our parents. When we're young, our parents are gods. When we're adults, they're fellow adults. And somewhere in there is a weird transitional period. There's a switch that has to flip there, where we see the world through adult eyes, and we see the very same things that we grew up with in a radically different way. And to see that with Howe, with his perceptions not only developing, but completely inverting in a lot of these cases, not only with respect to his grandfather we're talking about, but with respect to his father. It's really cool to watch. It's a fundamentally human psychological journey that we all face to some degree. Obviously, most of us not to this degree. But it's something. It's certainly a cool thing to explore. Like I said, I really like the writing, the character writing of the series. Before I get to this, Kevin has a good point here. Aren't there recognized visions by canonized saints that saw people in hell? Also, hasn't the Virgin warned people in recognized apparitions that people are in hell? Yes, that's another good reason to seriously doubt Pacatostasis or Hope for Universalism, whichever the case might be, whatever you want to call it. Right? Another serious reason to doubt. However, private revelation is not binding on the faithful. That's absolute. Now, it might be damn good evidence, but it's not binding. So, it's not... Say what you want. Hopeful universalism is not heretical. It's very likely false. I do tend to agree that it's very likely false. But it's not heretical. Technically. Like I said, it's very likely false, but it's not verboten. It's not off the table. It's just kind of kooky. Anyway. This is another point, right? So there's this does present a very good reason for Nathaniel's father to have resented his grandfather. His duty was to stay with his family. Well, that's a damn good point. This is kind of something that we explored a little bit with respect to Morrigan, right? Dalen has competing obligations to his personal life and his personal relationships and his duty as a Grey Warden. Now, the difference is he took on both obligations voluntarily. Excuse me. And he took on his obligation to the Grey Wardens first, before he took on these personal obligations like the one he took to Morrigan, right? A relationship with Morrigan. But at the same time, he took on his obligation to the Grey Wardens, and then took on his obligation to Morrigan, before he knew what the obligation to the Grey Wardens might entail, which was in-death sacrifice. Fine. But again, this is to just take it back to ethics, founded or at least found in scripture. This is why oath-taking is a bad idea. Unconditional oath-taking is a simply objectively bad idea because you don't know what you're promising to. You might be promising to do something unjust. If you vow to join the Grey Wardens and all that entails without knowing what that entails, it might require you to do something unjust or to violate some other obligation that you might have, like this. Joining the Grey Wardens on the part of Nathaniel's grandfather, he didn't know that it could kill him. He didn't know that it meant abandoning his family. He didn't know that it would lead Nathaniel's father to resenting him. He had no idea. He had no way of knowing. But he took an unconditional oath. He jumped without knowing the risks. And the Grey Wardens require that people not know the risks before committing to join. If you remember the scene with Duncan near the beginning. The whole situation with the Grey Wardens is very, very morally sketchy, dubious, probably just wrong outright. There are a lot of moral faults with the way that the Grey Wardens are structured. And as well, and I will say, the head of the household going away from his family, leaving his family to protect the world, and in so doing to protect his family, right? Fine, fair enough, that's a noble thing, and someone has to. But two things. One, honestly, under most normal circumstances, soldiery is a bachelor's game. You shouldn't go be a soldier if you have commitments to family, because there's a very real chance you're not coming back to them. You're abandoning someone you have an obligation to. Sorry. But it is far better for the unmarried and uncommitted to be soldiers. And this is, I really, really admire warrior monks. So going back to, say, Knights Templar. That sort of ideal. Where one's obligation is to God. And that obligation is not going to be abandoned by death. Unlike one's obligation to family. That is in large part abandoned. But at the same time, I can also say there wasn't a blight back then, so there wasn't a particular obligation for him to save the world by joining the Grey Wardens. He certainly, obviously, did not live to see the blight, this blight. And he wouldn't have, because we know Grey Wardens tend not to live as long as the normal people, and it was probably quite some time ago. Oh. Evan, back on the topic of hopeful universalism, and I think I probably are too stunned. I think, to be blunt, that it's fluff to appease the masses and make theology easier to talk about. Yeah, probably. Which is ironic, because that is precisely the sort of thing that Bishop Barron is usually vehemently opposed to. Beige Christianity. Which, honestly, hopeful universalism is pretty beige, if you ask me. Yeah, there wasn't a blight back then.
There isn't a blight now, either. That doesn't mean Grey Wardens aren't still needed.
I told you that the bow you gave me was my grandfather's, didn't I? Thank you for that.
At any rate, we should probably get back to it. There are Darkspawn to kill, I'll bet. Somewhere.
All right, let's very quickly talk to the rest of the people here. We're going a little late, but I want to get all this resolved before we get ready to move on next time. Anders has something to say.
So what would you do if you didn't have to be a Grey Warden?
I don't... Once you're a warden, there's no going back.
Irrevocable, huh? Does that mean nobody ever leaves the Wardens?
You can leave, but you'll be tainted forever.
You can run, but you can't hide? I think I've heard that before.
Oh, don't start.
I've never liked the idea of being trapped somewhere, to be honest. It reminds me of the Circle. After my 7th escape attempt, you'd think they'd have given me credit for trying.
They didn't just make you tranquil?
They can't make you tranquil once you've passed your harrowing. I'll wager they regret that rule. The only thing I ever missed about the circle was that cat, to be honest.
Now you have a new one. Now you have a new one.
So I do. How are you doing in there, Sir Bouncer Lord? Ha! You'll be a fine mouser yet. Can cats be Grey Wardens?
Probably best not to, though. Okay. All right. That's a good note to end on, I think. Anders and his cat. So, thank you all for joining me. We will be picking up again on Monday, continuing Nier Automata. We're continuing 9S's story now for the second big ending, eventually, once we get around to it. And then Thursday, we'll be right back here, where we are going into the Wending Wood to discover discover these Darkspawn or whatever is attacking these people, and to, if I recall, meet our next companion, who I very much like. A lot of people don't so much, but I really do. Also, as I've mentioned, keep an eye out for that audiobook recording that I'm going to be putting up soonish, within the next few days, hopefully, on C.S. Lewis's essay, Our English Syllabus. I'll also put a link to the full text of that in the description here, so if you want to read it in advance, please do. Erica says, wow, I come back to hear the most annoying voice in the world. Was it Anders? Says, wait, I know why it sounded like Alistair. Oh, okay. Oh, gosh. Yeah, a little bit. Listen, I like Anders in Awakening. He's awful in 2, but I like him in Awakening. Anyway, like I said, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you again for joining me. Look forward to that stuff coming up. If you have some thoughts or anything on the Peculiarly Papist Perspectives podcast that Eric and I are thinking of getting started, do let us know. I'm certainly interested to see what you guys would be wanting to hear about as far as sort of what material we'd want to cover. So, with that, good night, everyone, and I will see you next time.